Good morning, I'm Craig Negrelli. It's Wednesday, February 26th, 2025, and these are your Unbiased Updates. A new registry for undocumented immigrants in the United States. Who will be required to register and the consequences for failing to do so. And near miss. Why a Southwest flight was forced to suddenly climb back to 3,000 feet while landing at Chicago's Midway airport. That had the pilot radioing to air traffic control. How'd that happen?
From the Straight Arrow News Studio, bringing the stories that matter to you from across the United States and around the world, these are today's Unbiased Updates.
New this morning, the Trump administration has created a registry for undocumented immigrants. It will require those 14 years and older to submit their personal information or face fines, even prison time. In a statement, the Department of Homeland Security said all undocumented immigrants 14 and older must submit their fingerprints and home address for the registry. Those who qualify but don't register reportedly could be fined up to $5,000 or be sentenced up to 6 months in prison. The administration says the registry will be available online, though the webpage has not been launched. In a statement, a DHS spokesperson said President Donald Trump and Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem, quote, have a clear message for those in our country illegally. Leave now. She added, if you leave now, you may have the opportunity to return and enjoy our freedom and live the American dream. The move to criminalize being in the United States illegally marks a major policy change under the Trump administration. Until now, being in the country illegally was only considered a civil offense, with the consequences of getting detained and deported if caught and processed. According to a post on X, Homeland Security says America's borders are now closed to lawbreakers and that this past weekend, crossings along the southern border were at their lowest in 15 years. In a big win for Speaker Mike Johnson, House Republicans Tuesday night passed a multi-trillion-dollar plan to address defense, energy, immigration, and tax policy with only 2 votes to spare. Straight Arrow News political correspondent Ray Bogan breaks down what's in the budget blueprint and what Republican holdouts said about the resolution.
House Republicans narrowly passed a budget resolution Tuesday evening on a party-line vote that saw one defection. Congressman Thomas Massie voted no. It's an all-encompassing package that covers funding for the rest of fiscal year 2025, sets budgetary levels for fiscal years 2026 through 2034, and lifts the debt ceiling by $4 trillion. The bill also provides instructions for committees to look for $1.5 trillion in budget cuts to fund President Trump's border security, energy, and tax policies. Getting this approved required some serious arm twisting. Some Republicans were still a no on their way in the door, and President Trump called them personally. In the end, they could not change Massie's mind.
We're going to add $328 billion to the deficit this year. We're going to add $295 billion to the deficit the year after that, and $242 billion to the deficit after that, under the rosiest assumptions. Why would I vote for that?
As Republicans preach fiscal responsibility, how does a bill that adds that much money to the deficit this year align with that value?
Well, first of all, when you are trying to unwind 30 plus years of bad fiscal practice, you're not going to do it all at one time. I mean, that's just a reality, unless you make draconian cuts, right? And so I think part of this is working to bend the curve, stop the outrageous growth in spending that we saw under the Biden administration. $7 trillion in budget, $36 trillion in debt.
Republicans passed the resolution by themselves and left Democrats out of the process entirely. Earlier in the day, House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries said Democrats would not provide a single vote to help Republicans get the bill over the finish line. They kept their word.
Donald Trump, the administration, and House Republicans are hurting the American people. It's unacceptable, unconscionable, un-American, and we are not going to stand for it 1 minute.
Democrats opposed the bill because of its possible cuts to Medicaid. Even some Republicans said that they had to be convinced.
I still have my reservations, still concerned that it's not fiscally responsible enough, but I think it's the best thing we're going to get. And if we don't pass it, the Democrats get their way. And that's never let good be the enemy of great.
In many ways, this resolution is just the beginning. Congress still needs to fully fund the government before March 14th to avoid a shutdown, and the committees are just beginning the process of looking for cuts. I'm Ray Bogan for Straight Arrow News. For more reporting, download the SAN app.
Yesterday's vote was a critical step toward unlocking the complicated legislative tool known as reconciliation. It's a process that will allow Republicans to avoid a filibuster from Democrats in the Senate. The Senate has already passed its own budget reconciliation plan. Now the two chambers need to pass the same bill in order to move ahead. Now to the efforts to end the war between Russia and Ukraine. It appears there is a deal between the United States and Ukraine that would give the United States access to Ukraine's rare minerals. President Trump has insisted that Ukraine pay back the billions of dollars in economic aid and military equipment that the U.S. has given to Ukraine for its war against Russia over the past 3 years. One of those demands includes the U.S. getting access to the earth minerals. Ukrainian senior officials have confirmed to news outlets an agreement has been reached on the framework of an economic deal. At the White House on Tuesday, President Trump said that Ukrainian President Zelensky is likely coming to Washington later this week to finalize it.
I hear that. I hear that he's coming on Friday. Certainly it's okay with me if he'd like to, and he would like to sign it together with me, and I understand that's a big deal, very big deal. And I think the American people, even if you look at polling, they're very happy because, you know, Biden was throwing money around like it's cotton candy. And it's a very big deal. Look, it could be $1 trillion deal. It could be whatever, but it's rare earths and other things.
Reports say the United States and Ukraine would have joint ownership over a fund, and Ukraine would contribute 50% of state-owned resources, including minerals, oil, and gas. We now know who is technically in charge of the Department of Government Efficiency. The Trump administration revealed yesterday Amy Gleason is the acting administrator of DOGE. The announcement comes after weeks of questions about billionaire Elon Musk's role and authority over DOGE as its chair. Gleason previously worked for the U.S. Digital Service, which the Trump administration turned into the Department of Government Efficiency. Meantime, more than 20 civil service employees resigned from DOGE yesterday, saying they refused to use their technical expertise to dismantle critical public services. The mass resignation includes engineers, data scientists, designers, and product managers. The White House was dismissive of the move. In a statement, Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt said, quote, "Anyone who thinks protests, lawsuits, and lawfare will deter President Trump must have been sleeping under a rock for the past several years," end quote. Musk posted on his social media platform X that the story was fake news and said staffers who resigned were, quote, Dem political holdovers who would have been fired anyway. A close call caught on camera as a Southwest Airlines passenger jet had to abort its landing at the last second to avoid hitting a smaller plane at Chicago's Midway International Airport on Tuesday. The Southwest flight then landed safely at the airport after the flight crew performed what is known as a go-around to avoid the private business jet. The FAA said the private jet went onto the runway after its pilot misunderstood the instructions from air traffic control to hold short of the runway, forcing the Southwest plane to climb back to 3,000 feet, with the pilot asking the tower, how'd that happen? Passengers who were on the flight from Omaha to Chicago told news outlets they did not know anything had gone wrong until they saw the video later. According to the FAA, the business jet entered the runway without authorization. This is the latest close call in a long list of serious aircraft incidents in 2025, including at least 5 deadly crashes over the past few weeks. Finally this morning, you might be nearing your last chance to snag your morning favorite or midday pick-me-up at Starbucks. The company says it's getting rid of some of its less popular items starting next Monday. Among the 13 items getting pulled starting March 4th are several Frappuccino beverages, the Royal English Breakfast Latte, and the White Hot Chocolate. The menu cuts were announced along with plans to lay off more than 1,000 corporate employees. Starbucks says the menu changes will reduce wait times and make way for innovation. And this is just the beginning. Starbucks says it will take more drink and food choices off the menu in the coming months in an effort to downsize the menu by 30%. Just don't touch the caramel macchiato. Oh, by the way, I like the iced espresso as well, just not too much ice. I sound like a cranky customer, don't I? Maybe I am. Those are your unbiased updates for this Wednesday. We'll see you back here tomorrow. For all of us here at Straight Arrow News, I'm Craig DeGrelli. Have a great day.